Meal time?
Hey,
Jess, is
hey,
it
it
meal
is
donkey
mule
time? Yeah.
time. Jess the
Okay.
dog, the border collie, knows that it's mule time. And so Jess is getting us on our game so we can talk mules and donkeys for the next 60 minutes. And hey, this week is a special week. We're not just talking mules and donkeys today, but we are actually going to be talking mules and donkeys tomorrow, December 18th, 2024. We're going to do it 4 o'clock Pacific, 5 Mountain, 6 Central, and 7 Eastern. And this topic is all about how you can train your own mule. You are more qualified than you think you are. You don't need to wait for someone to come around. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of the people that you could find out there, they might be well meaning people, but what they wind up doing is using horse techniques and horse information on the mules and donkeys. And you might be thinking, well, isn't it an equine? Absolutely. But there are distinct differences, very distinct differences. And tomorrow, during this free event, that's right, you heard me say, this free event, we're going to be talking about those distinct differences, why they matter, and how it affects the way that you're going to train. And I got a little bit of a tidbit to give you. Your confidence level will shoot through the roof if you come, you sit, you listen, and you ask questions. That is a recipe to have incredible confidence when you step into the stall, when you step into the arena, when you step into their space. That's the confidence that you want to have. That's what we're doing it. Steve, it's been a whole week since we got together. How are things going out there on the ranch?
Boy, the mule and donkey guy's impressing me every day. Did you hear all them words? Wow, those are pretty incredible. Hey, Dave, guess what? I went to a church Sunday afternoon. A friend invited me to go over to watch a live nativity scene. Yep, live. And I thought, oh man, that's going to be something. I've seen some of them when I went to Branson. They did a live nativity, camels and horses and sheep and poop everywhere. No, just kidding. Anyway, I was, you know me. I'm always kind of poking around, looking. And all of a sudden, I see this guy with his young camel, a young bull camel. Bull, yeah, that's right. He's intact. He had his testicles. Yep. Anyway, I was watching this guy, and this camel was doing a good job of training this guy. This camel moved this guy everywhere he wanted him to go, and he'd grab a hold of his wrist with his mouth and pull him around. Yep. Did you hear that? Same as mules. Yes, sirree. If a mule, if he wasn't intact, he would try to breed you as well. That's right. That's what they do. They bite you. They get a hold of you. Say, "I want you to do this," and that's part of it. So, guess what? Have I trained camels? Yes, I have. Guess what? I trained on this camel, and when I come out of the show, this camel was kneeling, laying quietly, and was not being a problem at all. And the guy was ecstatic. He'd been watching my videos on YouTube. He says, "Wow, I can't believe what I could do in just a short time." And he didn't have my come along rope. He just had good techniques that helped. Yeah. How about that? That was fun. Yeah. I got to I got to watch the live nativity and watch baby Jesus.
That's fun. That's really good. It makes me remember. I think it was last year, or the year before. We had one of our customers send in a video of him leading a donkey during the LDS Christmas pageant, and there are people hooting and hollering. There are folks just screaming, whistles, all sorts of fanfare, all sorts of things. And he was walking Jesus sitting up on top of that donkey with just the come along rope. It was a pretty cool thing to see. You remember that?
Yeah, oh yeah. And I'll tell you the next part about that. That was the first time anybody sat on that donkey's back. So not only was that donkey going through all of that stuff, just like Jesus did in the biblical days, he didn't ride a horse. If he'd have rode a horse, that horse would still be running today from all that noise and stuff. But that donkey went right on through because donkeys are smart. Yep, extremely smart. And carrying this guy out on his back, and they come up to the steps, people waving everything and going on, and Jesus climbed off and went up the steps. It was pretty incredible. Yep. Just go show you what a come along rope can do. I've used a come along rope on wild cattle. Yep. We've gone down into the river bottoms. We've roped them wild cattle. We tied them up to a tree overnight. They can't go nowhere with their head tied to a tree like that. And that's hard to find in Arizona. Where anyway, we got her done. And then we get them away from the tree, put the come along hitch on them, and we can take them anywhere you want. If you got show cattle that your 4-Hers are showing, or show sheep that your 4-Hers are showing, you can use the come along hitch. The only animal that I know of that the come along hitch will not work on is a pig. They're yeah. You're better off just with a stick and driving the pig. Yeah. Anyway, or a husband that doesn't want to pay attention.
Yeah, I was about to say we may have to ask Susan and see what she has to say. Hey, folks, we're so glad that you're here. Really, there's only 3 things we ask that you do, and there's 4. First, we just ask you to enjoy yourself. We want you to enjoy yourself today. I know that there's a lot of different things going on. I know that this time of the year can bring up a lot of happy memories and joyful experiences. I know that it can be a tough time of year as well, and some things that maybe aren't so happy. And so I know that I have lots of things going in my life, some things that I'm really joyous about and some things that are really difficult. And my invitation to you is to just enjoy yourself today and just allow yourself to enjoy being with other folks who love mules and donkeys. And we can worry about other things, but that's my invitation to you. So enjoy yourself. After that, the next thing we ask is that you share your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like so we can say hello to you. You'll see we've already got friends on Facebook and YouTube saying hello. Join in with them, share your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather's like. The next thing we ask is that you go ahead and put any and every mule and donkey question in the comment section that you got. I think we may have 1 or 2 already in there just in these wee minutes of the program, but put those questions in there. We'll get you answers as best we can, and we would love to hear a follow-up report from you as well. Finally, share the broadcast with friends and family. You can do that by sharing the link or by using the tools such as the like and the share buttons, or just comment and tag someone. I want to say hello to Aussie Mountain Mule Adventures. Good morning from Queensland, Australia. Hot and muggy. We've gone international right off the top. Hot dog. Hannah's watching from Dunedin, or from Florida, 82 degrees, gorgeous. God bless America. Amen and amen. Jim is watching from Western Maryland, 48 degrees, where it is clear. Daryl is watching with Bobby Joe in Birmingham, Alabama, sunny and 67. Hey, we've got Cassia watching. Good morning from Queensland, Australia. It's hot and muggy. My mule just put me back in my box. I didn't think I was rushing things, but she disagreed with me. So we have a little setback on out harness training now. Do you know what she's talking about there, Steve?
I'm not sure. She hadn't contacted me. Sounds like maybe she had a little bit of confidence, and the mule decided to show her that she didn't get it. So she was out. She was outside of her box, and now she had to go back in. I guess I don't know, but
okay. So how do you deal with that, Steve? Like, Cassie, I'd like to hear more because I'd like to learn. But Steve, when you feel like things are going good and you've had 4 weeks where you feel like you've been making progress, and all of the sudden you get out there, and maybe they're not obstinate, but they are just, nope, not going to do it. I mean, is it just a matter of grabbing the come along rope and going back to the very beginning? Is that really what you would do, or is there anything else that you might consider as well?
Yeah, no, Dave, it is so frustrating. You know what it's like trying to raise 3 boys, and you know how you have their ups and downs and rounds and this sort of thing. Well, when you have a mule that's a baby, well, then you're dealing with a baby, and it's just wanting to see everything going on. And then you have a mule that other people have dealt with, and he's got all these bad habits that people have done. And by the time you think you're doing really good, all of a sudden one of the bad habits show up, and you're not quite sure how to handle it. I can tell you what I used to do. I used to be extremely angry. I would literally take up a 2x4 and go to beating on that mule. That's what I was. Yep. I used to throw them on the ground, throw a tarp on them, and beat on them. They didn't pay attention to me. That's what I did. That's how stupid I was back then. Okay. Anyway, let's go back. So what do I do now? I just think about it and say, all right, we're going to go back to ground zero, and we're going to start with the come along hitch, and we're going to start doing our work again. And we're going to do 3, 6, 9, 12. And as we're going through this, we want to see the mule really polish, really doing well. And guess what it does? It builds your confidence. Yeah. Because most of us can't ride in the saddle and cure a problem. Most of us don't have the hands, the legs, or the spurs to cure the problem. Now, I had a lady call me the other day. She says, my mule backs up faster than I can go forward. What do I do? And I said, why aren't you wearing spurs? She said, how do you know I'm not wearing spurs? I said, because the mule is backing up and you're not getting anything done. I said, that's a bad habit. Now, I'm going to tell you, going back to this camel, one of the reasons I wanted to get in there and help this guy, okay, because there was people pushing baby carriages around. There was little tiny kids, 3 and 4 years old, running up to the camel. I didn't want to have a ER problem there, okay? So that's why I went in there to help. And here's the deal. You're going to have ups and downs. I would love to say, man, you use my techniques and everything's going to go smooth. No, ain't going to happen. Especially if you've got an older mule where several people have messed with it. That's why I want to help you tomorrow night. I want to help you I want to show you how you can do it. Why would you take your kids? It's bad enough as it is, send them off to school, okay? Some of these sorry school systems. That's another story. But anyway, why would you want to have your kid go off to something like that and then not pay attention what's going on? In other words, when they come home from school, how was your day? What was you going on? What was you learning? All right. You can't always do that with your mule trainer, but if you train it yourself, you can get the job done. Why take your best friend and turn it over to somebody else? I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I'm real excited for this particular program. I think what you can expect is it's going to be a lot. If you went back and you watched all of the hundreds or probably thousands of videos that we've put on YouTube, like these live streams, you would get all of the information that we're going to talk about tomorrow. What makes it exciting for me is that you don't have to go back and watch thousands of hours to get this information. You really just need to show up for, 50 to 60 minutes, and you can get the best of what we've been discussing in regards to putting together your own training program and getting out there and doing the work yourself. I think it's great that we're going to condense it and really give you something that you can sink your teeth into, you can really rally around. And when you get out there, feel like you've got a plan, not just for making progress, but a plan for dealing with obstacles as well. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I put a link in the comment section. I'll be putting over 400 people so far. So, man, would love to have you join us, and I'll keep mentioning it throughout the day. Let's see here. Okay, Ivy is watching from Maine, 45 and foggy. Are you talking about the weather, or are you talking about your brain there, Ivy? It's good to have you. So glad you're here. Polly is watching from Barnesville, Minnesota, 23, beautiful with the light snow. Dave O'Brien, East Texas, the man, 71 degrees and cloudy. We love hearing from you. Beth is watching from Maryland, where surprisingly, she says it actually got sunny today and in the high 50s. More rain, though, tomorrow. Hope all is well with both of you. Come on now, Beth. We're doing great because you are here. We're so glad that you're here, and it is fun getting to spend time with you and everybody else. Merlin, watching as he does from northwest Minnesota. Cloudy, light snow, and 20 degrees forecast is for more inches. 4 more inches of snow, in fact. David Pengelly, for a mule, every day is a different day. And it is a great day here in Manchester, Georgia. Love you guys, and we love ourselves some Come Along coffee. You got your Come Along coffee, Steve?
Absolutely.
That is coffee by David. It is fantastic. I've got it in my house. We ground it up fresh. Come along coffee. We sell it through the Mule Ranch store, but it comes roasted fresh from Coffee by David, and really would encourage y'all. If you're a drinker of the coffee, you're going to love this one.
Mm.
Ask, tell, and demand. Pick your roast. Let's see here. Cassia says, I was dragging noisy things behind her a little too quick. She got spooked, and we had a little wreck. No mule injured, thank goodness. Now I know that you've done this in the past, Steve. I think with Surcingle training you would tie like a plastic bag or something. Is that maybe what she's talking about? And I'm gonna be honest, that sounds a lot like desensitizing to me. Can you tell me what might make that different than what folks consider desensitizing?
Okay. So the difference between desensitizing and the difference between halter training, i.e., come along, is that as you're dragging things along, for instance, I think she said she was dragging something, then when the mule throws his head up and is concerned, I bump him and cue him and say, don't listen to that. Don't pay attention to it. Listen to me. Okay. Desensitize him is when you go at it, go at it, go at it, go at it until the mule finally just relaxes. And a lot of people uh, will flag 1 hours at a time, but they never get their feet to be standing still. And that's one of the difference between desensitizing. The idea here is you break the flight and fright response. That's what it is. So I'm not sure if she was leading something, leading the mule with a come along hitch, and then dragging things behind it. Which, if so, I would have first. Here's the deal: you put him in a surcingle. You'll hear me talk about this tomorrow. Put him in a surcingle. Put a adjusted rope halter on it so that it hits key points of the nose, so that when the mule, here's the difference between desensitizing and halter training. When the mule gets scared, he throws his nose out and throws his head in the air. What happens? When he throws his nose out, the knots on the nose hits his nose and makes him uncomfortable. When he throws his head in the air, the pole gets uncomfortable. So then he learns that if he takes off because of a problem, he learns that he's going to hit those knots and it's going to hit that pole and it's going to make him uncomfortable. And he learns on his own. Okay. And that's what's really important. So I would have taken, maybe she done it, I don't know. But I would have first put the mule in the surcingle, and then I would have tied, like Dave was saying, tie some things so that it's about 3 foot long or so. And so it's flopping in the air. And then when the mule takes off running, he'll keep on running until he gets tired of having his nose sore. Because as he goes, he pushes against those two knots and it makes his nose sore. All right. So here's the deal: mules and donkeys care more about their nose. So eventually the donkey will then start slowing down and quit running because of the pressure on the nose. Same thing using the come along hitch when somebody's handling. I would first tie everything on the mule with the surcingle and let the mule go and let him figure it out.
Awesome. Great. Appreciate that. That's great for me to hear. Let's see here. Joe is watching from Bell Falls, Texas. Warm and balmy for December. Leslie is watching from Decatur, Illinois. 47 and sunny. Kenneth is watching from Patton, Missouri. 51 and sunny. David Scholl. Hey, international. David and Di in beautiful Queensland had 4.5 inches of rain over the last 3 days. Good grief. That's a lot of, that's what we get like in a year, I think, in Arizona. That's a lot of rain.
Yeah, we get between 8 and 9 inches here
Okay. All right.
a year.
So that's like half of what we get in a matter of 4 days. Send it over
Yeah.
our way. We'll take it. Hey, Sherman is here. Sherman Johnson, Johnson Taxidermy, Norman, Oklahoma, 66 degrees. I got a question, Steve. My question: what are some of the sizing things that people become concerned with when purchasing a saddle? Now, in our store, we sell based upon seat size, but that is the only size metric that we take. But I'm aware that there are some other sizing considerations that folks will ask about. Can you share what might those be and why on your saddles it's not really a concern?
Okay, so sizing wise, you don't need to tell me the sizes of your mule. You don't need to give me measurements of your donkey. You don't need to give me any of that stuff because I already know that my tree from my saddle is going to be correct. I already know that the design of my saddle is going to be correct. So, what kind of sizes do I need to have? Cinch sizes. And on my website, I teach you how to measure for cinches. Now it's not exact rocket scientist. You don't have to have it within, within an inch. You can have it within 4 inches and you would still be fine. As long as you have enough room from the top D ring on the saddle, on front and rear, from there to the D ring on the cinch. If you got 3, 4 inches by the end of the day, you're good. All right. No problem at all. So that would be the one other measurement. Then the other one would be the bit. To measuring for the bit because I have a 5 and I have 5.5 inches. So that would be the other two measurements. But other than that, cinches are the main thing. As far as cinch size, saddle measurements, no, I don't need them. The people who tell you that they need them, they don't know anything about a mule or a donkey. Okay, they're using somebody else's tree. They use a semi-quarter horse or 4/4 horse tree, and there you have a slim knowledge of a donkey or a mule.
So, what about when folks ask about size for the gullet? What's
Okay,
what's the gullet, and why are they asking about that?
there you go. So the gullet is the front part of the saddle. It's where the pommel and the horn hook onto, and then it's the width from bar to bar, and that's your gullet size. So the front of the saddle, that's your gullet. Okay, now when you're talking horse, you have two sizes. That's all. That gullet size is narrow. I don't know the exact same size of it, and wide. So semi-quarter horse narrow, full quarter horse wide. Okay, they do that on the horses all the time in order to be able to take care of some of these quarter horses that are pretty wide in the gullet. Because you got to remember, horses people put their saddle up on the wither. We as mules and donkeys put our saddles behind the wither. So gullet size is not that important. Here's the biggest problem that people have. And Dave's writing an article and we've been talking about it. And we had a whole webinar on this, and that is people are not using their rear cinch. That's the biggest reason you see white marks on your mules. Biggest reason is because they don't use that rear cinch. And if they do use it, they use it improperly. In other words, they don't tighten it up snug enough to keep the saddle from cantilevering. All right, so that's why the white marks are there. It's not because of the saddle. It's not because it's too narrow. It's because you did not properly place the saddle on the mule's back. So there you are.
What I love about that answer is that it's such a small thing that really is just a small correction. When you're not
Yep.
placing it in the right place, or when the equipment is not working properly together, meaning you don't have an inch and a half of room in the front, the breast collar, inch and a half of room in the back with the britchin. It's all these little tiny adjustments that you can make, and anybody can do it. They have a huge impact, but
Oh yeah.
anybody can make these tiny adjustments. Now, of course, you get into some situations where you may need like a downhill hip pad. There may be, some additional things you are going to look at because of the conformation of the animal, but it just winds up being a lot of simple changes that anybody can do and make a really, really big difference. Steve, the next question that I got, this one comes in from Corey. We recently got a 7-year-old fixed donkey who was abused in the past. He's opened up to us easily enough so far. He usually comes over and wants to see us first thing in the morning, always braying loud when he greets us. However, a lot of times he gets into phases where he stops being so friendly and just walks or runs away when we approach him. We need to be able to approach him for maintenance and other things. He doesn't get aggressive at all, no kicking or anything. He just walks away. Now, can I answer this, Steve, and then you,
Oh man,
because I
yeah.
because I saw this and I was like, I think I know the answer here. So the first thing that it looks like is that you're letting him out at pasture. And so I would ask you the question, why would he come to you? Like, why would he come over to you and let you catch him? He is out. If there's other animals out there, he's out there with his buddies. He's got all this free feed. He's got room to just walk about and do whatever he wants. So, really, what I'm getting at is in order to have the relationship that you're talking about that you want to have, you need to be seen as the herd leader. And if he doesn't need you for anything, he's not going to see you as the herd leader, and he's going to try to be top mule, top donkey on the pecking order. So the first thing that you want to look at is putting him in a 10 by 20 stall so that number one, he becomes reliant and dependent upon you for everything. The second thing is it allows you to do what you're already talking about here, maintenance and other things. It allows you to know exactly what he's eating, how much of what he's eating. It allows you to put together a much stronger feed and nutrition program. It allows you to monitor the road apples. It allows you to see the urine. It allows you to feed according to use. And so that gives you not only the upper hand in terms of becoming the herd leader, but it gives you first eyewitness access to everything that he's doing. On top of that, it allows you, like, it gives you the ability then to step into the stall with the come along rope and allows you to, how do I word it? You want to, how do you do it, Steve? When you're stepping in, you want to square up to them, and then when the ears are up and facing you, that says, "Hold on, visiting hours are off." But then when he kind of like puts his ears down or turns his ear away, visiting hours are on. Is that how it goes? And then you can approach without them wandering off, and you can develop that connection. Am I getting that part correct?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, you always want to approach the shoulder, never approach the nose. The nose tells you to go away or back up. The shoulder is a neutral zone. So when you're walking up, if he's looking at you and the ears are perked up and he's looking at you, he's saying, "Come on, visiting hours are on."
Okay.
But when he looks down and looks away from you, the visiting hours are off.
Got it. And so you really can't do that if they're out at pasture, but you get them in their own stall and you can begin to develop that relationship that you're wanting there, that communication. And to where ultimately, when you get that, when you can finally get the come along rope on them and begin to communicate using that tool, I think that's really the catalyst for a lot of change in the relationship with the animal. Not only in being able to do the little things that maybe they're willing to do and just being able to be more efficient and things like this, but when they decide that I don't want to do it this way, that come along rope becomes your direct line of communication. As Steve says, it's an extension of you, and it puts you in a really, really strong position to be able to then reestablish yourself as the herd leader. You're going to do what I want you to do. You're not going to look over there. You're not going to look over there. You're not going to walk this way or that way. You're going to do what I want you to do, and we're going to stand here until you do it. Anything else you would add there, Steve?
No, you're doing good. We could do a scenario of, okay, the donkey walks away, and we're in the small pen. What do we do? You know. So when he walks away, what do we do? Well, what we would do is we got the come along rope in our hand. We would hold one end of it. We'd take the other end of it, and we'd throw it at the animal and make him uncomfortable. Hey, 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 get out of here! And throw the rope at him and just really make him uncomfortable. When he turns to look at us, we get quiet and we look right at him. He looks away from us. Hey, 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 hey. And then he looks at us, get quiet. So pretty soon he learns that when he leaves us, he's going to be made uncomfortable and he's going to have to run off. And when he starts running off, his heart starts pounding, his lungs start pounding, and he gets really uncomfortable. So that's the good part about having them in a 10 by 20 stall. But that's just kind of an addition to what you were saying there, mule guy.
Awesome. Well, that's very helpful to know. That's a great follow up. and making them uncomfortable. I like that. And you know what? I think we hit some of that in the free. You hear that, folks? Hey, in the free video that we have up on YouTube called "Establishing Leadership." It's like a 10-part training that's separated into different videos, and it's a playlist on YouTube. I'll find that, and I think we go over some of that. Next question. This one comes in from Winnie. There's a lot of words here, so I'm just going to get down to it. She says, I came across a post online of somebody talking about how they were looking for a mule and they had their heart set on a mule. What are some reasons folks would prefer to ride a mule over riding a horse? And how common is it for folks to choose a mule over a horse? Um, are there other things that you can do with them um, other than riding and carting?
Well, riding, driving, packing, when it comes to competitions, you can go into open classes for Western pleasure, and other classes too. You can go into open classes to where it's open to any breed, and you can do that. But people. One of the biggest problems with most mule owners and people who are purchasing them is this: is they don't spend enough time to figure out, to know about the mule, so when a mule has some problems, how do we deal with them? So there's lots and lots of good reasons why I would prefer a mule over a horse, just in general, just their natural ability to take care of themselves. But I got a lot of information on there, and you can sure read it. All my videos, we got lots of articles and this sort of thing that'll help you out.
What do you mean by their natural ability to take care of themselves?
Well, you see, the donkey side of the mule is what is stressful to most people, because they don't spend enough time around a donkey to understand what to do around them. Okay, they don't understand. Okay, Jess, leave it. Okay. Jess, leave it. Susan just showed up, and so he's saying, "Hey, Mom, here I am in here." Okay, Jess, leave it. Okay, good boy. There, down. Yeah, okay. He's letting me know that she's arrived. Anyway, so going back to this, it's their natural way of, when they put their foot down, it's exactly where they know exactly where that foot is. When you're going at the Grand Canyon, one of the things that the head of the mules would say, these mules, we train them to walk along the edge of the canyon. No, not really. Okay. Mainly because, number one, the mule's very comfortable at being this far away from a mile drop off. They're very comfortable. They know exactly where to put their feet. But the people have to be on the mountainside, because if they're on the canyon side and when the mules brushes them, they can go off the side. So anyway, so they're very comfortable at being in stressful situations. Okay. They buck? Oh man, a mule, when he bucks, it hurts. I'll guarantee you. Uh, will they run off? Yes, they'll run off before they'll buck. Okay, but on a rare time. Most of the time, it's flight and fright on a horse, and it's flight and fright and fight on a mule, because of the donkey side. The donkey is always thinking things through. The donkey, I'm gonna call him the professor of the equine world, because they look into things in detail. What would happen if I go that way? Am I going to get hurt? See? Am I going, if I go that way here? I've been on many a mule on the side of a mountain. We're chasing mountain lions, or working for wild cattle, or working tame cattle, and I let my mule pick his way through. He looks at it ahead of time and can pick his way through and know the safest place to take him. And if him is going to go safe, guess who else is going to go safe? Me. Okay. They knew what to do. Now, do I still need to give them direction? Yes. I don't always allow them to go do their thing. Okay. There are times that I will put controls on them, and I will say, no, we're not doing that. We're going to do this. But I better make sure I'm good at what I'm doing. Otherwise, the donkey side of the mule is going to disagree with me and say, nope, we ain't doing that. we're going to do this because I don't feel safe going that way. So there's an overall view of it.
All right, very good. Thank you. Let's say hello to Bush Pony. Steve, I tried your method for turning the head for haltering, hand on the nose and hand on the nose and neck, etc., and it worked like a charm, following 3, 6, 9, 12 for sure. So, folks, there's lots of videos on our YouTube channel where we show exactly that, turning the neck and installing the come along rope or installing the rope halter. And then the 369, that's where you're teaching them. You teach them to do it, and when they get 3 in a row and do real well with that, you're done for the day. And then the next time you come out, you work to get them to do 6 in a row, and then you're done for the day. So that's what she's talking about there. That's great. Let's see here. Jerry is watching from Indiana. Thanks, Steve, for the advice on my mule. I have him in the stall, and he is doing a lot better because week tomorrow. I just want to thank you for always being available to talk to. Thanks for calling me back. I know you're busy. It'll be a whole week tomorrow. That's from Jerry. That's pretty cool. What was Jerry working on?
Well, it's the same thing as like a lot of the people, Dave. You know, the mule is out in a pasture. He's got it made. He can do whatever he wants to do. In this particular case, Jerry had been out in an open area and got himself screwed up and got into some wire and stuff and kind of crippled him up. So he's doing really good now. Okay, folks, you gotta think about this. These animals depend upon you. You put them out in the pasture; they don't need to be out there. They need to be where you can keep an eye on them. Okay, and if you can't keep an eye on them, buy yourself a bicycle. Okay, because these animals are they're loving animals. They want to do for you, but it's important that you show them that you're the herd leader and you're going to take care of them.
Awesome, that's great. So this one came in from let's see, Sir sent this in. Says I've always wanted a mule, and after years of dreaming, I finally have the opportunity to make it happen. I've been taking weekly lessons on a lovely TB mare, and now I'm ready to start looking for my own mule. However, I've been running into a huge problem. There are almost no mules for available in New England or anywhere on the eastern seaboard for that matter. Most of what I've found are older Amish mules that are worn out and covered in harness scars, and I'm not looking for a project or a charity case. I want a quality young mule that I can have for many years to come. I'm feeling really frustrated. I'm starting to wonder if I should settle for a horse or to try to buy a mule sight unseen from across the country, but that would mean expanding my budget and likely waiting even longer. I live in a mountainous area where mules would thrive, so I'm surprised they're so hard to find. I've talked to people, my trainer's reaching out, and I've joined every group I can find, but still no luck. Am I being too impatient, or is there really no mule market in the Northeast? Has anyone had similar struggles or know of a hidden mule population in New England? Any advice or encouragement would be really appreciated. This is something that we hear a lot, folks. I mean, not necessarily the New England or the Eastern Seaboard, but just folks trying to find a quality animal. And the first thing, like when he says, should I just settle for a horse or buy a mule sight unseen? And my first reaction was, I think we've heard too many difficult stories where folks have settled for a mule and just bought something just to have something, and then they find out that it really, he says, I want a young mule, a quality young mule that I can have for years to come. And if that's what you're looking for, you're not looking for a buying sight unseen. You're looking for smelling them. You're looking for touching them. You're looking for spending time with them, and in order to identify their disposition. So I don't know. How do you maintain the confidence and the excitement when you feel like you're just getting discouraged because you can't find anything, Steve?
Well, I know it's tough, and I know and I tell you, and Dave just told you now to smell it and touch it. You know, smell it and touch it, and that way you know if it's worth buying. If 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 I was you, like I'm gonna be telling people tomorrow, I'd be buying me a 2-year old. Okay, one that's pretty gentle, can pick up his feet. By 2 years old, they should be able to lay pretty fair and should be able to pick up their feet, and that is all that's necessary. Okay, and then take him from there, and take him from there. You hear that? And start building a mule. Start going from there. Yeah, you're going to have to travel. Yeah, there's lots of people out there selling mules, And yes, get yourself educated. Don't just don't do like so many of my clients have done. Gone ahead and bought a mule on the internet, had it shipped clear across country, and when they pulled it out of the trailer, the mule was a blithering idiot. Okay, and has stayed that way for some people told me a year later. A year later, they still can't hardly touch their mule. They saw it ridden, they saw him do things, but yet now, boom. Okay, why? You know why? Because you need to smell it and touch it. You really do. Don't listen to these people say it is a trained mule. I've seen very few trained mules. Okay, very few. What I have seen is a lot of dog and pony shows, folks. They stand up on top of the mules, they crack a whip, they crawl between their legs, they fall off of them. That's dog and pony show. That's not showing you a real mule with real foundation, real training. Dog and pony show. That's what it is. Okay. I just had David Pingelli just sent me a little note there and said, "Hey, Steve, I bought me a mule." He was only kidding, of course. And here's this mule that a guy's sitting on in an arena setting, and they just bid $60,000 on that mule. All right, I'm not going to go into any more detail on that, but listen, dog and pony show is this: crawling between their legs, cracking whips on their back, going down the road with traffic going by, crossing water. That's all dog and pony shows. Show me something in a 10-foot circle. In a 10-foot circle, your mule backs up, turns on the forehand, turns on the hindquarters, side passes. You can saddle it and things like this without having to tie it up. Now we're talking foundation training, not dog and pony show. Okay. You see this stuff all the time. Some little kid is riding a horse around or a mule around, dog and pony show. You're thinking, oh, if that little kid can do it, I can do it. No, no. Okay. Some of these kids can outride me. I'm telling you, they're awesome riders, and they can make these mules look really good. So get yourself educated. Be prepared to go on a road trip. Go on a road trip. Go find that 2-year-old, okay, and away you go. Now I have had some clients. I just had one just a couple days ago. They just bought a saddle and a bunch of gear from me. They knew the mule, okay. And matter of fact, we were talking about the guy last week. He wrote the book Natural Superiority of Mules, and they bought the mule because they knew that he owned the mule, and they were pretty confident that that mule had a lot of miles on it, had some pretty good training, and they bought it. Did they have a little bit of problems? Yes. Okay. Mule been standing in a pasture for a while? Yes. It's kind of like leaving your lawnmower in the garage and you go out and you start it up to do the spring grass and it won't start. Why? Because you left gas in it and it lacquered over, which is another story. But anyway, there you are. Educate yourself. Okay. Learn. Listen to everybody out there. Go out there and listen to all these trainers out there and find out who works the best for you, and then you use their techniques and go from there.
Is the Natural Superiority of Mules, is that a good book, Steve?
I have to be honest with you, I've never read it. I know he's contacted me a few times before he passed away, of course, and I didn't know he was a professor of college too. I mean, not a professor, but a actual president of a college. I didn't know that either. But anyway, he had called me a few times, asked me questions, and went on from there. Okay, so and I had no idea. As far as I knew, he was a turkey hunter because we talked about hunting turkeys, and he guided people. But what he was actually was, in all essence, was a professor that just had a wonderful want to learn more about the mules. So maybe some of you have read it out there and liked it. I really don't know.
So Ender sent in a question saying, just looking for the safest out of the pony, horse, mule, or donkey. And I know what you would say is like there really is no such thing as safe because these
Um,
animals, they're going to do what they're going to do. So there is disposition and there is looking for the best disposition. Is it even worth a conversation of saying which is the least likely to blow up, or is it really just a matter of finding out of those four, finding the one with the best disposition?
Disposition is going to be it. It's not going to be breeding. It's not going to be age. Okay, everybody's looking for a 12-year-old because that's kind of mid-range before they kick the bucket and while they're still babies. I don't know why, but every time somebody contacts me, they bought a 12 or 14-year-old mule thinking they bought, man, just right in the middle, good. But, it's not age. It's not male or female. It's not donkey, horse, mule. Okay, it is disposition. Disposition more than anything else. If you've got a donkey, a mule, or a horse with a likable disposition, there's where you want to go.
That's great. I've spent a lot of time around Steve. I see some of these questions, and immediately I start thinking, oh, I think this is what Steve would say. Leslie asked the question: I'm starting my third year with my three mules, and all of a sudden I become the herd leader. My ground training is weekly, and I've changed nothing. Is year three a magic year or something? Uh, I'm doing this in the pasture. I do not have a safe barn. I'm the herd leader while in the dry lot. I do not have a safe barn, she says.
Well, good for you, Leslie. I don't know if it's the year number three or anything like that. I can tell you, usually after I got my third month of riding in and training, that it's starting to make sense to them. But what it is here, Leslie, I believe that you are starting to get a good handle on the communication. Okay, and since you've had a good handle on the communication, what that has done is helped you to make things easy. The mules get to where they say, "Oh, here comes the herd leader," and they want to be around the herd leader. And evidently, you've proved it out. Congratulations, good for you. Now you're a trainer. Go train.
There you go, Leslie. Feels good, don't it, Leslie? Jim sent in a question, says, I have a Steve. I'd like to use my Surcingle this winter in my barn when it is snowing and blowing or really cold outside here in Indiana. I have a rectangle area that would be approximately 12 by 32. It has a concrete floor with rubber mats and shavings on top. Would that be okay to use even though it's not a round pen?
I love you. Perfect. Perfect. You don't have to have a round pin, folks. It's nice because it does cut loose your time. But here's the great thing about a surcingle. Rig it all up, turn them loose, and don't say nothing. Don't touch them. Don't do nothing. Okay. Sometimes they'll stand there for a while and then they'll walk away. But nice thing about surcingle is it can get them to be soft. You cannot overdo surcingle work. Put the rope halter on them, turn them loose. As they progress in a rope halter, put the mule rider's martingale in there, turn them loose. Okay? You do not have to say anything or do anything. You can let them learn it on their own. Your finished bit, same thing. Okay? Yes, perfect. Good for you for thinking about training even when the weather is adverse.
So he's talking about martingale training there. Folks, one of the things I want to let you know is that at muleranch.com, obviously all of our products are there, and Steve's signature saddle series and et cetera, et cetera. That's there. There's a whole bunch of free blog posts. There's a lot of videos posted on the different articles that we have, but all of that you can find without logging in. What I want to let you know is that when you go to muleranch.com and you create a free account and log in inside of the video library, you will find a large collection of videos that are absolutely free. You don't have to buy them. Some of them you'll find on YouTube. Some of them you'll find that we have done as webinars in the past, but they're all there for free. And one of those is our training all about Surcingle training. We did that several months back. It was a fantastic event. And so if you want to watch that, just go to muleranch.com, sign in or sign up for a free account, and you'll be thrilled with all of the videos, including the Surcingle training video that you'll have access to there as well. Let's see here. Daniel is watching. Sunny in 66 in Mesa. Thank you for all the help you provide. Jim is watching from Dorr, Michigan, 36 degrees. When riding my mules in the winter, should I take shorter rides or dry them off with towels and put a blanket on them for an hour or so till dry? I'm not a big fan of blankets. When it gets colder out, we get lots of folks wanting to know about blankets, and Jim here is wanting to know about blankets in conjunction with riding.
Yeah. Well, folks, they always come back sweaty. All right. And so I'm a fan of when I come back from a ride, it'll be 30 minutes to an hour before I pull a saddle off. Hot, cold, whatever. I want them to get an understanding that just because they come back to the barn, they're not going to get desaddled and thrown into corral and eat. Okay. That makes them barn sour. So can you dry them off? Sure. I think it's a great idea. That's probably something I would do, except for I also know that my mules love to roll, and they'll roll in the snow, they'll roll in the mud because they like to roll. So, Jim, you just have to try a few things and see what works for you. I don't know if you got a barn or not, but one of these days I'm gonna go up there and see Jim. Now, Jim is he's a police officer, sheriff's deputy up in Dorr, Michigan, which was pretty close to where my kids used to live, and I used to fish around there and stuff. And James is also a veteran as well, and so he almost got tangled up with a guy that was going to sell him a sorry mule for a big price. Woo!
Folks, if you ever have a question about a mule you're looking at, we're not going to tell you to buy it. We're not going to tell you to pass on it. We don't know that mule. We have not been around that mule, but we will tell you what we have seen, and we will tell you what you can be on the lookout for, and when you go to visit the mule, what you want to do. So, yeah, love that we were able to hear that he was able to get past that. You don't want to get a sorry mule, especially for a high price. Penny asks a question. My donkey kicks when I touch her tummy. What are safe, comfortable hobbles for her? This is from Penny in Florida. So my question, we've got her question, but I'm having trouble understanding the kicking, when I touch her tummy, and then wanting to put hobbles on it. Is she saying I'll put hobbles on that way she won't kick and I can work on her?
That's what she's saying, and there again, that's a horse technique. Don't do that. Okay, when that donkey or horse or mule kicks at you, that automatically is going to tell me they don't recognize you as her leader, and they are trying to take over and be the boss. Okay, don't touch my tummy. Some, especially older animals that have been saddled up a lot, been saddled incorrectly. They had a loose rear cinch, and it slapped them on the belly a few times and made them uncomfortable. Okay, so anyway, lots of different things. So this is the way I would fix it. I would put the come along rope on, and I would make sure that the animal responds to my slightest touch with the come along rope. Then I would take a long quirk without a flag on it, and I would start touching them around their chest and around their leg, and then I would work my way back toward their belly. And as I'm working their way back, okay, I am not desensitizing. I am using the come along rope to tell the mule this is the right decision, this is the incorrect decision. So when the mule kicks at my hand, or in this case, my quirk, you need to be watching, because the mule won't just kick. He'll telegraph first and say, I'm going to kick. How does he do that? Watch him. He'll turn his head back, throw his ear towards you, and he's getting ready to kick at you. Okay? Getting ready to do it. So they will tell you before they do it. So you be prepared. So here's what I would do. I would take my quirk and I would touch him in the front by the shoulder and work my way back. As soon as the mule twitches an ear toward my quirk, boom, boom, boom with the come along hitch. Okay? As soon as he does it. Not when he's kicked, it's already too late. Already too late. So you want to get your timing, watch the ears as you're going, watch the ears, and you take your quirk and go down by the belly, down by the belly, down by the belly. And as soon as the ear moves, bump, bump, bump. So you want to fix it when they're thinking about it, not when it's already done. Always want to do that. All your training is fix it before it becomes a problem.
That's great. Let's see here. Glenda says, my grandparents bred a donkey for mules in Mule Shul Ranch, Wheatland, Wyoming. Very fun. Says, great advice and glad Jerry is doing better. It is chilly wind, 40 mile an hour here in California. Stay warm, Glenda, and stay planted on the ground. Daniel says, how can I identify founder in a mule? I have a Molly mule with a really thick neck, and she does lay down more than my John mule, but I don't see any problems in her feet. Can I fix the founder?
Usually, grass founder is a no, you can't fix it. Okay. If it's in the neck and it's wider at the top, narrower at the bottom, it's grass founder. If it's a real thick neck, it could be that he's bred with a Belgian or a Clydesdale, some type of draft animal that already has a thick neck. I'd have to see pictures of it to tell you. Okay. Usually the feet, you'll see it in the frog or in the white line, or even in the sole itself. Sometimes you'll see it on a rare time with splits and this sort of thing in the hoof itself. But I would, can you help out founder? It depends on how bad it is. Depends on how bad grass founder is. Sometimes, yes, you can change feed, and just like us, we get fat from doing too many things incorrectly with eating too many good things. We think's good desserts, that sort of thing. Guilty. Um, anyway, and so you can change their feed around, and you can change their overall conformation.
Let's see here. Question. I've had Petra for over a week and she is still walking the fence in her pen. What is a reasonable time for a mule to settle in, and should I be concerned about ulcers?
You've always got an opportunity for ulcers. And if you got weather that's really high, thunder and lightning and this sort of thing, that's when I usually had a lot of my animals colic and get ulcers. Walking the fence is not unusual. They'll do it hour after hour. You can take advantage of that. And that is, I would put the Surcingle on, put a rope halter on, and let her walk the fence and train herself. Okay, that'd be one of the first things I would do. Is there a time frame? They'll go through stages. They'll go through stages to where they're doing really good, hardly ever walk the line. Then all of a sudden they'll see a favorite horse or favorite something out there, and they'll walk the line and want to get to it. Okay, take advantage of it though. Throw your Surcingle on, put your rope halter on, or maybe your martingale, and let them walk up and down a fence and be training on themselves.
Awesome. Let's see here. Andrea says, do you know any dentists that do mules around Phoenix or Wickenburg? I haven't had any good luck with vets, and the couple horse dentists I've reached out to won't do mules.
I knew of one guy, and I don't know that I have his name anymore here. Let me take a look at my phone real quick. I used to have a guy, and
It seems like finding good professionals who are who are really like mule people who understand the mule. It seems like that's kind of difficult as far as vet and farrier and other professionals like that. Is it just hard to find a good network of folks? It's just
yeah,
few
it
and far
is.
between.
It is, and especially if you got mules. Okay, get your pencil ready. This is Equine Dentistry by Mark Allen. 435-749-1224. Now he works out of northern Arizona. Is his general place, but he travels down through Arizona and will go to different places, different times, and help you out. But his name is Mark Allen, 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 435-749-1224. Tell him Steve Edwards, Queen Valley Mule Ranch sent you. I think that'd be helpful to you.
That's great. Very, very cool. Okay, let's see here. Glinda, I think this is our last question of the day. Glinda says, "What about wanting them to lay down when you are riding them? I
Yeah.
had one that did this."
Well, unfortunately, that happens. You get a lot of animals; they want to roll because they're getting sweaty and stuff, and they lay down. And yes, it's a pain. A lot of it has to do too. Where I found is that the saddle is not correct fitting and is making them really uncomfortable. So they'll try to lay down and roll it off to get it off. So that's a possibility for you too.
Okay, awesome. Now, Steve, we've got, folks, you think this is the end of the program. In fact, this is just the beginning of the learning. Tomorrow, close to this time, we are 25 hours away from how to train your mule on your own, how to train your own mule. You are more qualified than you think. This is the culmination of so many of these episodes where we have been encouraging you, we have been challenging you. Steve has been equipping you, giving all sorts of different answers, information, and insight and instruction to help equip you to step out there and be that herd leader, not just walking up to old Fluffy and feeding them, but when you put that come along rope on, when you put that Surcingle on, to be the herd leader, get results on your own training. It's all coming to a head tomorrow. I put a link in the comment section. We want you to be there. Over 400 folks have already registered. Would be awesome to get that up to 500 between now and this time tomorrow. Why? Because we want this world filled with people who can advocate for the mule and the donkey. We don't want just a whole bunch of horse people, well-meaning horse people on the best end of it, masquerading as if they understand the mule or donkey. No, we want you to be able to stand up and say, I understand why you would say this, but let me tell you why the mule is different. I understand why you would think that, and I understand that's been your experience, but I'm going to tell you why that will be different for the donkey. We need that from you. We need that so that folks not only know how to respect these animals, but they get the best out of them and they get the best experience with them. Steve, really cool message came in, and I thought I'd like to share this with you. This one came in from Sharon up in British Columbia, so international. Let's see. Christmas greetings, Steve. Sending you wishes for a most wonderful, healthy food, coffee, and family-filled holiday season. You and Queen Valley Mule Ranch are in my thoughts absolutely every day. Thank you for the tools, videos, webinars, weekly question answered, and especially your comfort, blessings, and encouragement. You have made all the difference. With love and hugs and very best wishes, Sharon in Kelowna, British Columbia. Hugs and kisses. Isn't that sweet, Steve?
Man, you know what, Dave? Right there's why I'm here. That's it. I just got paid for the whole year right there. I love it when people, watch what we do here. And this isn't just Steve. This is the mule guy too. You can hear him say, "This guy has never been around equine to speak of, other than a few times, and listen to his knowledge." Okay, and this sort of thing. So thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate that you're putting forth the effort. And thank you for the pat on the back. That is worth $1,000,000, isn't it, Dave?
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Love
Yep.
hearing that.
Yep.
One of the things that gets me excited is the truth that I'm investing my life in so many outcomes that I will most likely never get to see, but the Lord
Mhm.
sees them. And one day,
Yeah.
my brothers and sisters, who I never got to meet face to face, but I got to have some sort of an impact on their lives, I'll
Wow.
get to be with them one day, and I'll get to hear their story, and I'll get to hear what
Wow.
God was writing for them all the while I was doing my thing over here. And that just gets me real excited. So hearing this from Sharon, it really is sweet. We love hearing it. And we really
Yep.
do enjoy showing up each and every week. And I really hope that you will join us. We're showing up tomorrow. I really hope that you will join us. I'll put the link in there one last time. There's nothing else for you to do here other than say bye-bye. So click that link, go register. Steve, we'll see you tomorrow, okay?
All righty. We're looking forward to it.
Take care,
Adios.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.